Let us now begin our morning practice. Let us begin to place awareness in the area of the heart, taking slow, deep, gentle breaths, visualizing these flowing in and out of our hearts, breathing a little slower, a little gentler than we normally would. And just take these slow, deep breaths and just pay attention to the area of the heart and just remain present in the area of the heart as you take these slow, deep, gentle breaths. See if you can slow your breaths down even more. See if you can take a little more deeper breaths in and exhale for a little while longer, so that the time you take to breathe in matches the time you take to breathe out. I call that symmetrical breathing. So just slow, deep, gentle breaths in through your heart. And exhale from your heart, slowly, gently, and deeply. Can you breathe deeper and longer? See what happens if you try. See what happens if you try breathing a little bit more deeper and matching your exhale with the length of your inhale, making sure you feel comfortable in doing so, but you're expanding your ability while doing this. Just keep these slow, deep, gentle breaths flowing in and out. And now sense what is just beyond you, a few inches from your body. See if you can connect with the space just beyond you. Just feel just what's beyond your body as you take these slow, deep, gentle breaths. Experience what's waiting for you in the space that surrounds you. Excellent. Again, good morning to all those who've joined us today. Appreciate you joining me on a Monday morning or afternoon, as the case may be in your time zone. Today's I Didn't Know That moment is about the topic of we are connected, and now we can prove it. We've always known in the heart of our hearts, especially those who participate in this program, that we are all connected, and when we harm others, we harm ourselves. But today I want to share with you an actual experiment that recently came to light, and that is how scientists took a light particle. So everything that we see around us is how light bounces off our eyes or bounces off other people's objects or bodies and reflects onto our light. So everything about how we observe the universe or how we observe our reality is based on how we observe and how light behaves relative to us. So scientists actually took one of the particles of light we call photon, sent it through a splitter, which means that this photon split into two. So on the screen right now, if you have the benefit of the phone or the screen and you're not just listening in on this, on the screen you can see two half moons. Two half moon shaped photon, two parts of a photon. So if you imagine a marble or a round spherical object that is split in two, you have two semicircles or half moons, and each of them is sent into miles away from each other. And this actually happened in an experimental context. They actually sent first, they split the photon particle and they sent it away, miles and miles and miles away from each other. Then what they did was they looked at one half of this sphere, which is a semicircle or a half moon, one half of that sphere, and they actually rotated it. And when they rotated it, instantaneously, without delay, the other matched its rotation. So, in other words, if you look at my hands right now, if these two represent the two halves of a full photon particle, so this is a photon particle, which is a sphere, and if we split it into two, when this was moved this way, this one matched. This one moved, it matched almost instantaneously, like this. So there was no delay, but the intent for the particles were that they were always kept whole, which means that one half, the other half matched the uncompleted part of the first half. And this happened instantaneously. And so the idea here is that we are entangled. We are entangled beyond space and time, because when the scientists calculated, if one half was communicating with the other half, how long would it take for the communication to take place so that the other one could match its spin? The scientists realized that given the instantaneous time that it took to actually match its rotation and spin, that it would have to travel faster than the speed of light, the communication between the two. Now, we know that that's in the realm of spirit. We know that from being people on this particular call. We know that spirit moves beyond time and space. So we know that there's an incomplete part that is trying to complete us, and it's matching the particle that we are. So how do we relate that to today's situation? Well, we don't have much time to get into this, but in future webinars, I will be speaking about this in terms of what this means for us in terms of attracting our reality. Because if we play small, and if we say that we cannot go beyond this level, there's a matching thing that comes from the other side of the universe, which matches your spin and your reality that you create and matches it perfectly. So if you say that, I have cancer, there's one that completes that circle for you. And that's really kind of like a little teaser for you to understand that you are creating your own reality, because there's a half of that completeness that comes from the energy world. This is essentially what I'm understanding from this particular thing. I would love your comments after we practice the next phase of our program. So let us now begin to place our awareness in the area of the heart, taking slow, deep breaths. Visualizing these breaths flowing in and out of our hearts. Breathing a little slower, a little gentler than I normally would. Just draw them in and out of your heart. And now begin to experience a regenerative emotion, appreciation, gratitude, inner ease, peace, whatever helps you put a smile on your heart and in your face. Just experience that. There is a matching particle or a series of particles out there that are spinning with your smile, matching your smile's rotation and completing you right now, instantaneously, so that it matches every move you make to complete your wishes and your desires. So why not choose what you want the other half to do? Are you ready to release that which no longer serves you? So you can create a new pattern in your body, which then is matched instantaneously with spirit to complete you. Is this what you want? Of course it is. Are we willing to say that the current paradigm or the current perception that we have of ourselves no longer serves us? If it indeed no longer serves us, then what is it that you're going to do? What new reality are you going to bring to yourself so that spirit will match it and complete you? This is it. Slow, deep breaths. Experience joy, gratitude, appreciation, so that spirit can match and complete that for you. Slow, deep, gentle breaths, experiencing regenerative emotion. See if you can ask spirit to intensify your emotion. See if you can experience a more deeper, elevated feeling of gratitude, of a compassion, of love. Just ask. Simply ask. Wonderful. Thank you so much for participating this morning with me. I'm honored and privileged to be able to connect with all of you and those also who are going to be listening after. So I'm happy to take any questions right now, and while you are typing in your questions, I want to let you know that next Saturday I'm going to be talking about overcoming fear instantly. We're going to be practicing how to create an awareness around us so that we know when we're in fear mode. Sometimes we don't even know we're in fear mode, and then how to break through it. If you are an Ignite member, this is all included in your Ignite membership. Non-Ignite member can purchase this for one time for $15, and your email that'll have this replay will have that. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is if you speak Italian, or if you have any Italian-speaking friends, let them know that there's going to be an Italian webinar that's going to be broadcast on July 29th with Italian translation. So it'll be in English, but it's going to be broadcast also simultaneously, I believe, in Italian. And this is to kind of pave way for my Italy trip with Dr. Amber Wolf, Meliha. Many of you who know her. We're heading to Italy in September. We're going to, Italy in October, going to Barcelona, Czechoslovakia. Just before then, we're going to be doing some stuff together there. All right. So we've got some upcoming things happening in December. The 30 years of Cryon. I'm excited to go there. So if you're going to be around, you feel like going to Cancun, join me there. And a newly program that was created, and I was invited to do this with Dr. Wolf, Lee Carroll, and Monica Morani. It's a Lemurian Teaching Wheel. It's a 2-day program in Sedona next April. So mark your calendars. There's one that's coming up in November, Banff, here in my backyard, around heart-centered leadership. All right, so I'm going to just pop in and see what kind of questions we have today. From Cecile. I have an identical twin sister, yes you are, who lives at the opposite end of the world to me, and we still are amazed at how our lives match each other. Even down to small, seemingly insignificant things, we both experience the same things. Yes, actually I have a friend who's got twin daughters, and when one banged her head, the other one said ouch. So we are entangled, especially with twins, because they've spent that very important 9 months really connected with each other. So the idea about the photon splitting is the reason we use two photon that split is because they're connected together from from the origin, and so when you split it, you really still have that other part of you there. And so that is very interesting. Yes, thank you, Cecile, for that observation. Like I said, science is just catching up to this. Sue says, is it an attribute, a feeling, or something else that spirit matches up for us? And you're saying, I'm not sure I can ask a good question as it is quite complex. I agree with you, it is quite complex. And what I normally tell people is that the challenge to receiving the response from the universe is to ask a question and articulate it. And so the first thing that we need to do, Sue, and this is something that came up to you now, and I want you to take a week and just cultivate this. I want you to just formulate a question. This is very important. A lot of us want the answers, but I think what we need to do is really find out what the real question in our heart is, and then move forward from there. So Sue, I would ask you to just sit with that question and say, how do I make that question more relevant? And then what does that question look like? And as soon as you get that question articulated, you will get many opportunities to hear the responses from the other side. So I'm just going to take a crack at what I think your question is. Is it an attribute, a feeling, or something else that spirit matches up for us? And I'm going to just say yes to all of that because it is quite complex. It is the energy that spirit is matching up to us. And on our side of the veil, the three-dimensional body that we have, the energy that we generate is our emotions. So if our communication mode is sending out an emotion, the power of an emotion, sending that out, we know that the Spirit will match it and bring to bear things that have to happen in terms of individuals coming into our lives, synchronicities happening, and physical changes in our DNA. So all of those machinations are happening simultaneously in divine timing and in a lockstep manner with our own emotions. So that when we feel amazing, when we feel gratitude, the universe is beginning to move in this direction, and then we may fall off the wagon and feel anxious or frustrated, and the universe will begin to match it. And the more energy you have in the frustration part than the gratitude part, the energy will gel in the frustration part. So these are all machinations that are happening, just modulating with our own emotions. And so all we need to do, Sue, and thank you for that question, is to actually pay attention to our emotions and always stay on that gratitude appreciation side. And that's all that we have to do. It's very simple on our end of the world. It's more complex on the other end. That's how I feel. So sit with that and see if some of that resonates with you. So our thoughts and emotions are attracting the same energy to us. I would say it's attracting a matching energy to us. You see, because we can create a light particle is actually what we observe when it bounces off an object. So what we're doing is we're manipulating how we see somebody else just by having our emotions in check. So if we're frustrated, everything around us will move in that manner. Everything around us we will see as haphazard and frustrated. But if we feel calm, collected, then everything around us will not feel so anxious. And this is something that you may observe on your own. I'm sure every one of us has seen people just go nuts around us, and we're wondering, why is it that they're going crazy? Because there's nothing to be worried about. If that's you, then you know you've hit that spot, that sweet spot where you're actually centered. So sit with that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for asking that engaging question. All right, so that's it for today. I don't see any more questions coming through. I appreciate the engagement, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I look forward to connecting with you next week. Take care.